Everybody ran out into the streets. We were still in our night clothes. There were hundreds of planes overhead. And what's going on? And then all of a sudden, we saw great big puffs all around these planes. And my father said, get back in the house and start packing. We are leaving. Right there and then.
We were lucky we weren't killed by the bombs, because refugees who had left a day earlier were bombed by the Germans as they were going over the road.
I was 17 while I was running away from Brussels in 1940. When I left, I was pretty sure I'd never come back to Brussels. And there was a ship that was going to the United States in September, October, the Kwanzaa. They had about 300 people with visas to the United States, about 80 people going to Mexico, to Veracruz. And we were one of the 80-some-odd people going to Veracruz.
So on the ship, the first stop was New York, and there a lot of the passengers were let off.
When we watched the people get off in New York City, it was the low part of the, like, where are we? Nobody wants us. That was it, yeah.
A year before us, the St. Louis had been sent back. There was no help.
And we can imagine what happened.
And we sailed for Veracruz.
We didn't get off in Mexico. At that point, we get worried. Where do you go from here? What do you do? Who's going to take us in?
At that time, we were still hoping that maybe Cuba or Venezuela or any one of the islands would let us off.
So we started going from port to port to a few different ports, and nobody wanted us.
We were writing to the State Department. Everybody had a hope. Everybody had someone who knew someone they thought, but it didn't work.
We ended up in Virginia.
My father was not allowed to board the ship. Looking through the porthole was my sister, my mother, and I. And my father was on the dock reaching with his hand up to us. And my sister was crying because she felt there was no hope. They would not let us off the ship.
We were in Virginia for one reason, and one reason only, to buy fuel to go back to Europe.
So everybody was in great despair there on that ship.
Well, we would have gone back to Europe, and the Germans would have taken us off the ship straight to a concentration camp. They were very angry about this whole thing, And they would say, see, America doesn't want them. We had good luck. We met the right people. This was the thing.
So you had my grandfather, Jacob L. Morowitz, the maritime attorney who rescued the refugees from the steamship Kwanzaa. Patrick Murphy Malin, Eleanor Roosevelt, FDR, and Breckinridge Long. Everyone played a role, positive or negative. A few individuals taking risk can change history.